Welcome to my channel. Old Valuable Chiller. Today we are going to take a deep look at the United States $quarter coin from 1966. This coin is part of American history and it represents an important time in the evolution of US coinage. The 1966 Washington quarter is one of those coins that collectors and history enthusiasts always find fascinating because of its design, its background, and its unique position in US monetary history. If you are searching for information about the 1966 $quarter coin, its history, value, composition, and collector demand, you are in the right place. Stay tuned as we talk about everything related to this amazing coin. The 1966 Washington quarter was minted at a time when the United States was moving away from silver coinage. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But in 1965, due to rising silver prices and the increasing demand for coinage, the US Mint switched to a clad composition. That means the 1966 quarter, like the 1965 quarter, no longer contained silver. Instead, it was made of a copper-nickel clad composition, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This change marked the beginning of modern US coinage as we know it today, and the 1966 quarter is one of the early examples of this important transition. On the obverse, or the front side, the 1966 quarter features the profile of George Washington. This design was introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. The portrait was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it became one of the most recognized designs in American coinage. The obverse shows Washington facing left, with the word liberty above his head and the phrase "In God we trust" on the left side. At the bottom is the year 1966, making this coin instantly identifiable to collectors. On the reverse, or the back side, the design also comes from John Flanagan. It features a bold American eagle with its wings spread out, clutching a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it, symbolizing both strength and peace. The words United States of America are written at the top, the denomination $quarter is at the bottom, and the motto E pluribus unum is in the center above the eagle. One important detail about the 1966 quarter is that it carries no mint mark. That's because between 1965 and 1967, the US Mint removed mint marks from coins to discourage coin hoarding. Collectors at the time were pulling coins out of circulation in large numbers, especially the older silver coins. By removing mint marks, the mint hoped to reduce the frenzy of collecting and keep enough coins in circulation. As a result, all 1966 quarters were struck without mint marks, regardless of whether they came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This makes it impossible to know exactly which mint a particular coin came from, but it adds an interesting story to the coin's background. When it comes to mintage, the 1966 quarter was produced in very large numbers. The US Mint struck over 821 million circulation strikes of the 1966 quarter. That means the coin is not rare in general circulation. However, its historical value and its role in the transition away from silver coinage make it popular with collectors. In addition to the circulation strikes, there were also special mint sets made in 1966. These sets were created instead of proof sets during the mid-1960s, and they included specially made coins with a better finish than circulation strikes but not quite proof quality. Collectors often seek out the 1966 special mint set quarters because of their sharper detail and smoother surfaces. In terms of specifications, the 1966 quarter has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and weighs about 5.67 grams. Its reeded edge is one of its defining characteristics, making it easy to recognize by touch. The clad composition ensures durability, and that is one of the reasons so many 1966 quarters are still found in circulation today. Although most are heavily worn from decades of use, uncirculated examples with sharp details and original mint luster are always appealing to collectors. Now let's talk about value. For most circulated examples of the 1966 quarter, the value is equal to face value, which is 25 cents. These coins were produced in such high numbers that common circulated pieces are not rare. However, the story changes when you look at uncirculated coins, special mint set coins, or coins with errors. Uncirculated 1966 quarters can sell for a few dollars depending on their condition and grading. High-grade examples with full detail and no wear are more desirable. Coins from special mint sets often command higher prices, especially if they are in excellent condition. Errors are another area where value increases. Some 1966 quarters have been found with striking errors, double dies, or off-center strikes, and these can bring much higher premiums from collectors who specialize in error coins. Collectors often seek the 1966 quarter as part of a complete Washington quarter collection. Since it comes from the transitional period after silver was removed, it is an essential coin for anyone building a full set. It also tells an important story about U.S. coinage during the 1960s, when the mint was adapting to changes in the economy and responding to public demand. Having a 1966 quarter in your collection is like holding a piece of that history in your hand. It may not be made of silver, but it carries significance because it represents change, adaptation, and the continuing legacy of the Washington Quarter series. The Washington Quarter design remained the same until 1999, when the state quarters program was introduced. That means the 1966 quarter shares its design with many decades of quarters before and after it, making it part of a long tradition in American coinage. The eagle reverse was eventually retired in 1999, but collectors still appreciate these earlier designs for their classic American symbolism. Another point worth noting is that although the 1966 quarter has no silver, it sometimes causes confusion among new collectors. Some people think that all quarters from the 1960s contain silver, but the truth is that only quarters from 1964 and earlier have silver. Starting in 1965, including the 1966 issue, all quarters were made with the clad copper-nickel composition. Knowing this detail helps avoid mistakes when searching through pocket change or old coin rolls. If you come across a 1966 quarter, it is a historic coin, but not a silver coin. In terms of collectability, condition is everything. A heavily circulated 1966 quarter is usually worth only face value. But if you find one in brilliant uncirculated condition, with sharp details and no signs of wear, it can be worth a premium to collectors. Coins with strong eye appeal, clean surfaces, and well-defined details always bring more interest in the numismatic market. Special mint set coins are especially prized when they have cameo contrast, where the raised design elements appear frosted while the background fields are mirror-like. These coins can be worth significantly more than regular circulation strikes. The 1966 quarter is also a great coin for beginner collectors because it is affordable, widely available, and rich in history. It gives new collectors an opportunity to learn about the transition from silver to clad coinage, the removal of mint marks, and the way the mint responded to the coin shortage of the 1960s. First up, welcome to this detailed and informative video all about the 1967 United States $quarter coin. If you are a coin collector, a history enthusiast, or someone simply interested in the fascinating world of US coinage, then this video will provide you with valuable information and insights about the 1967 $quarter coin from the United States. We will go over its background, history, design details, metal composition, mintage numbers, value, and collectible significance. This script is designed to give you a complete listening experience so you can learn everything about the 1967 Washington Quarter in one place. The 1967 $quarter coin is part of the Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The Washington Quarter became one of the most widely circulated coins in the United States. By 1967, the coin had already gone through a major change, because in 1965, silver was removed from the composition of the quarter due to rising silver prices and a national coin shortage. From that point forward, quarters were made of a copper-nickel clad composition instead of 90% silver. This makes the 1967 quarter an important piece of U.S. coin history, as it represents the early years of the modern clad coinage system. The obverse of the 1967 quarter features the familiar portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. His bust faces left, with the word liberty above his head and the phrase "In God we trust" to the left side. At the bottom of the coin, the date 1967 is clearly inscribed. The reverse of the coin depicts a bold eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, surrounded by olive branches. The words United States of America are inscribed above, while E pluribus unum and $quarter appear below. This design was used for decades and became iconic in American coinage. When it comes to the specifications, the 1967 $quarter coin weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. The composition is copper-nickel clad, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This composition gives the coin a silver-like appearance, but it contains no silver. This is important for collectors to know, since many people mistakenly believe quarters from the 1960s always contain silver. In fact, only quarters dated 1964 and earlier are 90% silver. The 1967 quarter is entirely clad and therefore has no intrinsic silver value. One of the unique aspects of the 1967 Washington quarter is that during this time period, the U.S. Mint suspended the use of mint marks. From 1965 through 1967, no coins were produced with mint marks because the mint wanted to discourage coin hoarding and ease the nationwide coin shortage. This means all 1967 quarters look identical regardless of whether they were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Collectors will notice that unlike most modern quarters, there is no mint mark present on the obverse. This adds an interesting historical note to the 1967 quarter, as it is one of only a few years without mint marks. In terms of mintage, the 1967 quarter was produced in very large numbers, with over 1.5 billion coins struck for circulation. This huge mintage means that the coin is very common in circulated condition and can still be found in pocket change today. For most collectors, circulated examples of the 1967 quarter-dollar coin are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated and high-grade examples can hold more value. Collectors who seek quarters graded in mint state 65 or higher may pay a premium for coins with excellent luster, minimal marks, and sharp details. Another important aspect to consider is that in 1967, the U.S. Mint also produced special mint sets instead of traditional proof sets. Proof coin production was halted between 1965 and 1967, and instead, collectors could purchase special mint sets, often abbreviated as SMS. These sets contain specially struck coins with a satin-like finish, superior to regular circulation strikes but not as sharp or mirrored as traditional proofs. A 1967 quarter from a special mint set can be more desirable to collectors, especially if it is preserved in high grade. Some of these SMS quarters also display unique cameo or deep cameo contrast, making them stand out even more and increasing their collectible value. When it comes to market value, the 1967 quarter is generally inexpensive in circulated condition. It typically trades for just 25 cents. In uncirculated grades, the value can range from $1 to several dollars depending on the condition. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services can reach values from tens to even hundreds of dollars if the coin is in superb condition. Special mint set coins, especially those with cameo contrast, can sometimes sell for higher amounts at auctions. This is why collectors carefully search through 1967 quarters for any outstanding examples. From a historical perspective, the 1967 quarter-dollar coin reflects a transitional time in U.S. coinage. The removal of silver from circulating quarters marked a new era where coins were made primarily for transactional use rather than for their intrinsic metal value. For those studying American history, the 1967 quarter highlights the economic challenges of the 1960s, including the coin shortage and changes in minting policy. It also shows how the U.S. Mint adapted to circumstances by removing mint marks and producing special mint sets. Collectors today appreciate the 1967 quarter for its place in history, its large mintage, and its role in the Washington Quarter series. While it may not be rare in circulated condition, it offers many opportunities for collectors to seek out high-grade examples, special mint set coins, and unique varieties. It is also a coin that many people remember using in daily life, adding a nostalgic element to its appeal. If you are building a Washington Quarter collection, the 1967 coin is an essential part of the set. Collectors who specialize in clad quarters or in U.S. coins of the 1960s always include the 1967 issue. It represents the middle of an important decade in American coinage, and although it may not be as valuable as silver quarters, it still carries historical and collectible importance. In summary, the 1967 United States quarter-dollar coin is a common yet significant piece of American coinage history. Featuring the classic Washington design, struck in copper-nickel clad composition, and produced without mint marks, it tells the story of an era of transition in U.S. coinage. With over a billion produced, most examples are worth only face value, but uncirculated and special mint set coins can carry higher value for collectors. Whether you are interested in numismatics, U.S. history, or simply want to learn more about coins in your pocket, the 1967 quarter-dollar remains a fascinating subject. Next up, the 1962 Jefferson nickel coin from the United States, one of the most collected and studied coins in American numismatics. The Jefferson nickel has been an important part of U.S. coinage since it was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and the 1962 5-cent coin stands out as a fascinating piece of history. In this video we are going to talk about the background of the Jefferson nickel, the features of the 1962 edition, the design details, minting history, varieties, errors, mintage numbers, the role of this coin in circulation, collector demand, and what makes the 1962 Jefferson nickel so appealing to both beginner and advanced coin collectors. If you are searching for information about Jefferson nickels, 5-cent coins from the United States, or specifically the 1962 nickel, this video will give you everything you need to know. The Jefferson nickel was designed by Felix Schlag, who won a national design competition in the late 1930s. His design featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, facing left, with the word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust." On the reverse, Schlag's design displayed Jefferson's home, Monticello, along with the denomination 5 cents, the word Monticello, and the country name United States of America. This design remained in use, with only minor changes, 4 decades, including the year 1962. For collectors, the 1962 5-cent Jefferson nickel is not just pocket change but an interesting artifact from the early 1960s in America. In 1962, Jefferson nickels were struck at 2 primary mints, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The Philadelphia coins had no mint mark in this period, while the Denver coins carried a small D mint mark located to the right of Monticello on the reverse. Knowing the difference between the Philadelphia and Denver issues is crucial because collectors often seek out both to complete their sets. The mintage numbers were very high, with hundreds of millions produced in total, which means many coins are still available in circulation or collections today, but condition and strike quality play a huge role in determining collector value. The obverse of the 1962 Jefferson nickel shows a detailed left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. Collectors often look at the sharpness of Jefferson's hair, the clarity of the eye, and the definition of the cheekbone to judge strike quality. On the reverse, Monticello's steps are a key point of interest. Full steps, meaning all of the lines on the steps of Monticello are fully struck and visible without breaks, are rare for many dates of Jefferson nickels, including the 1962 issue. A full steps 1962 Jefferson nickel can be dramatically more valuable than a typical worn example. When considering the 1962 Jefferson nickel, it is also important to note the composition. These coins were made of a copper-nickel alloy, specifically 75% copper and 25% nickel, and they do not contain silver. This makes them less intrinsically valuable than some other coins of the era, like silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars. But the numismatic demand is still very strong, especially for high-grade examples. In terms of mintages, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 97 million Jefferson nickels in 1962, while the Denver Mint produced over 280 million. This means that while the coin is common in circulated condition, finding gem uncirculated examples, particularly with full steps, is much more challenging. Many coins from the Denver Mint in particular were weakly struck, making full-step examples extremely desirable. Collectors also search for die varieties and errors in the 1962 Jefferson nickel series. Examples of collectible varieties include doubled dies, repunched mint marks on Denver coins, and die cracks. While these may not be as famous as errors on some other coins, they do add extra excitement for coin enthusiasts and can make a simple 1962 nickel worth far more than face value. Always examine coins under magnification if you are hunting for such varieties. Another important aspect of the 1962 Jefferson nickel is its role in U.S. history. The early 1960s were a period of transition and cultural change in the United States, and coins from this time serve as reminders of that era. Having a 1962 nickel in your collection is like holding a small piece of the Kennedy years, the Cold War, and the American experience in the early 60s. For collectors building a Jefferson nickel set, the 1962 issue is one of the essential dates. Although it is not considered a key date in terms of rarity, it fills a necessary spot in the series and becomes a challenge for those who pursue high-grade or full-steps examples. Professional grading services often assign premium values to mint state coins with strong eye appeal, particularly in MS65, MS66, or higher grades. When discussing value, a circulated 1962 Jefferson nickel usually trades for only a few cents above face value. However, an uncirculated coin, especially one with brilliant luster, can be worth a few dollars, and those elusive full steps examples can reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on grade and demand at the time of sale. Coin auctions sometimes feature standout examples of the 1962 nickel, and strong bidding can surprise even seasoned collectors. For those who want to collect Jefferson nickels by date and mint mark, the 1962 coin is a straightforward but necessary inclusion. For variety hunters, searching rolls of nickels from banks or old collections can sometimes yield surprising finds, including high-quality 1962 coins. Many collectors enjoy the treasure hunt aspect of roll searching and keep an eye out for full-step strikes or possible errors. In addition to value and rarity, the design of the Jefferson nickel itself is often admired. Felix Schlag's rendering of Monticello, with its neoclassical architecture, and the strong portrait of Jefferson give this coin a timeless look. Although design changes would eventually come decades later, the 1962 nickel still represents the long tradition of American coinage rooted in classic simplicity. Where we explore everything you need to know about the 5-cent Jefferson nickel coin from the United States, minted in 1969 at the Denver Mint, carrying the D Mint mark. This video is designed for coin collectors, numismatists, investors, and anyone interested in the fascinating history and value of US coins. Stay with me until the end as I go in depth about the design, specifications, history, mintage, errors, varieties, and the potential value of the 1969 D Jefferson nickel. The Jefferson nickel has been one of the most recognizable 5-cent coins in the United States since its introduction in 1938. Replacing the Buffalo nickel, this coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the obverse side of the 1969 D nickel, you will see Jefferson's left-facing portrait, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" on the left, "Liberty" and the date 1969 to the right, and the small D Mint mark placed beside the date, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse side showcases Jefferson's home, Monticello, with the word Monticello at the center, E pluribus unum above, and United States of America and 5 cents below. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it durability and the signature nickel color. It weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters with a plain edge. These specifications have remained consistent across most Jefferson nickels, making them easy to recognize for collectors and casual observers alike. Now, focusing on the history of the 1969 D nickel, we know that it was struck during a period when coin collecting in the United States was experiencing tremendous growth. Millions of people were searching through pocket change for rare dates and mint marks, and the US Mint was producing massive quantities of coins to keep up with demand. In 1969, the Denver Mint produced over 202 million Jefferson nickels, which makes the 1969 D nickel relatively common in circulation. Despite the large mintage, collectors still seek higher-grade coins, and those preserved in mint state condition can be significantly more valuable than worn examples. When we talk about coin value, condition always matters. The 1969 D Jefferson nickel in circulated condition typically holds only its face value of 5 cents, but uncirculated examples, especially those graded by professional services, can command much higher prices. In mint state grades such as MS-65 or MS-66, values can reach several dollars to tens of dollars. Exceptional examples with full steps on Monticello, known as FS designations, are particularly desirable. Full steps indicate sharp, well-struck detail on the steps of Monticello, and coins with this feature often scarce. A 1969 D Jefferson nickel with full steps can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on grade and rarity. Another key aspect to consider with the 1969 D Jefferson nickel is the possibility of error coins and die varieties. Like other coins produced in the late 1960s, some examples may show striking errors such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or die cracks. Collectors often pay strong premiums for visually appealing mint errors. Additionally, repunched mint marks, sometimes abbreviated as RPM, are possible with the D Mint mark. Varieties like doubled dies, although less frequently found in this year, are always worth examining under magnification. If you come across a coin that looks unusual, it is worth having it checked by an expert because error coins from this period can dramatically increase in value. The year 1969 also holds broader historical significance. The United States was experiencing major events, from the Apollo 11 moon landing earlier in the year to social and political changes across the country. Coins minted during this time, like the 1969 D Jefferson nickel, serve as small but tangible connections to that era. Holding one of these coins is not only about its numismatic value, but also about connecting to history. For collectors building a Jefferson nickel set, the 1969 D is an essential piece. While it is common in circulated grades, the challenge lies in finding high-grade examples with exceptional eye appeal and strong details. Many circulated coins from this year may show heavy wear, scratches, or weak strikes. That's why searching through rolls, visiting coin shows, and looking at certified coins from grading services can help you secure the best examples. Let's also talk about investment potential. While the 1969 D nickel may not seem rare at first glance, the fact is that high-grade examples with full steps are always in demand. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for quality, and as more people take an interest in Jefferson nickels, the competition for top-grade coins increases. If you are able to find a superb example or discover an unusual error, you might have a coin that is worth far more than face value. As with all coins, authentication and grading are important. Reputable grading companies like PCGS and NGC provide professional grading services, ensuring that a coin's grade is accurately determined and preserving its condition in a protective holder. A 1969D nickel graded in high mint state with full steps can sometimes reach auction prices well beyond what casual collectors expect. So, whether you are a beginner looking at coins in your pocket change or a seasoned collector searching for the highest quality examples, the 1969D Jefferson nickel offers both accessibility and challenge. It is a coin that tells a story of American history, represents mid-20th century minting practices, and continues to attract collectors with its potential for hidden value. Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize. The 1969D Jefferson nickel was minted at the Denver Mint with over 202 million produced. It features Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. While common in circulated grades, uncirculated coins, especially those with full steps, carry significant collector value. Errors and varieties add to the intrigue, making this coin a fascinating addition to any collection. Its value ranges from face value in worn condition to hundreds or even thousands of dollars for rare high-grade examples with full steps. If you have a 1969D nickel, take a closer look at it. Examine the details, check the condition, and consider its place in the larger Jefferson nickel series. You may be holding an everyday coin, or you could discover a hidden treasure worth far more than 5 cents.